Good. Let's take a look at A Journey to the West. Today we will look at the essential points of actual practice. Master Rinpoche says that today it seems I cannot give you a word-by-word explanation on placing Buddhahood within reach by following its original text, because some of you will not be here tomorrow and there will be many newcomers for tomorrow's teaching. Well, since Paul Rinpoche had already given the empowerment, but he doesn't have enough time to give the actual teachings of placing Buddhahood within reach, so he's going to give the essential points of this text. At various kinds of places, Paul Rinpoche had given various teachings on this particular text. So I really hope that all of us can gain some understandings of it. Otherwise, as the lineage disciple of Pansuk Rinpoche, if you do not understand such an important text, that is the placing Buddhahood within reach, it is such a pity. Pansuk Rinpoche had given these teachings in United States, in Singapore again, and he definitely placed great importance in this. He continued to say that, so I'd like to take this short time to talk about the essential points covered in this practice manual. Generally speaking, there are 3 essential points in terms of the beginning, the middle, and the end. The essential points in the beginning is that a practitioner must rid him or herself of attachment to anything in samsara, because everything in cyclic existence is trivial and insignificant. Only by doing so can you give rise to a genuine intention of following the authentic path to liberation and accomplishing its fruition. To achieve this goal, deeply contemplate on the freedoms and advantage of human existence, as well as the impermanence of human life in order to dispel the attachment to this present life. Also contemplate repeatedly on the karmic law of cause and effect, as well as the faults of samsara in order to dispel the attachment to all future lives. Well, we need to practice in the 4 reminders, the 4 thoughts that turns the mind to renunciation, and by relying on that, we would not grasp onto the present or future lifetimes. We would not hold on to the cyclic existence, but would seek for liberation. Continue these contemplations until you are able to completely cut off any attachment to samsara. The essential point in the middle is to accomplish the vast benefit for yourself and others. What are the expedient methods to do that? They are to take refuge in the 3 jewels and to arouse a bodhicitta in your mind. How do you take refuge? First, be committed to be a pure Buddhist by taking vows. And second, be engaged in Dharma study and practice. The Buddha Dharma can be recognized in the 2 types, the common teaching of the common vehicle and uncommon teaching of Mahayana. All followers of the common vehicle should promise not to harm other living beings, even at the risk of losing their own lives. This is included in the precepts for both monastic and lay practitioners, and you must abide by this discipline. Well, all of us should make such firm vow that we should not harm any sentient being at all. After making that vow, you can be considered as a true Buddhist. We need to truly look at ourselves. Have we generated that firm vow yet? If you were to only think about yourself as being kind and parrot that I am a Buddhist, that is not sufficient at all. You have to make an extremely firm vow that I will not hurt or harm any sentient beings at all. This is the mind that makes you a true Buddhist. Well, of course, simply not harming others is not enough. You must take the vow of never harming any other beings, and only by having such resolve you can become a qualified Buddhist. Material things like rocks and mountains have no intention of hurting others either, but they cannot be a Buddhist. Therefore, taking refuge vows in front of the 3 jewels is a necessity, and only by relying on these vows you can commit yourself to never harming others. This is the significant meaning of taking refuge in the 3 jewels. Well, initially, I thought that Pansuk Rinpoche had taught this text at various places, and I probably don't need to organize or edit and put together all the teachings. I can just translate one teaching. But when I look into all the teachings he gave at various places in Malaysia, in Singapore, and all of that, all the perspectives that he taught and he presented were different. People with wisdom would be able to see the difference. Now it is known that the prerequisites for not harming others is to take the Buddhist vow. These days, the Buddhist tradition of receiving pure precepts has been maintained very well in many countries in the Southeast Asia, in the Tibetan regions, India, Sri Lanka, and other countries. There are many people who have taken the novice precepts of the bhikshu precepts, meaning to become fully ordained. As far as I know, this is not an easy thing to do in the Western world, but still, you can take the 5 precepts or the 8 one-day precepts for lay practitioners. At that time, Khenpo Sodargye haven't visited Washington, D.C., and he was not aware of the American monastics yet. When he met those Western monastics, Khenpo Sodargye felt more comforted in some ways. And then over here, he stated that it would be the best for the Westerners to take the 5 lay practitioners' precepts or the 8 one-day precepts. What are the 5 precepts for lay practitioners? They are to refrain during one's lifetime from taking the life of a human being, lying or speaking in a way that is seriously deceptive or will cause great harm to others, sexual misconduct with a married person based on desire, stealing others' possession, and drinking any alcohol. It is the best for a lay practitioner to take the 5 vows, because this will enhance their spiritual practice. If you truly have difficulty taking all of them, you should promise to observe at least 1 or 2 of them in this lifetime. Only after taking some or all 5 precepts can you embody the true meaning of being a lay practitioner of Buddhism. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, and no lying are called the 4 root precepts. If you promise to observe 4 of them from today's sunrise to tomorrow's sunrise, this is the practice of Sudra. In the worst case of being incapable of observing any of these disciplines, you may engage in some regular practices, such as circumambulating the representatives of the 3 jewels, making prostrations, chanting sutras or mantras like the Mani Mantra, Manjushri's Mantra, Guru Rinpoche's Mantra, and so on. Chant these mantras as many times as you can. When I was translating and collecting these teachings, I thought to myself that this teaching given by Khenpo Rinpoche is so skillful, because you cannot force the others to observe all the precepts. Instead of forcing others to observe all the precepts, you should encourage others to at least maybe take 1 or 2 of the precepts. If the others cannot do that, then you can encourage them to take precepts at least for 1 day, the 1-day precepts. And if they cannot do that, then you can encourage them to at least to recite as many mantras as possible. In the West, it is really difficult to ask the others to observe precepts, or also you cannot force others to take precepts either, because the adults have already developed their core values. If they are already 40, 50, 60 years of age, you cannot force them to say that, well, you cannot do that, you cannot do this. And if you continuously to nag them about what they can do or cannot do, they would get quite irritated by you. So what's the point? I think it would be better to encourage the others. And if that doesn't work, at least you can share the value of what is right and what is wrong, to basically talk about what kinds of actions should be taken, what kinds of actions should be abandoned. And you shouldn't force your ideas on them and say that, well, if you don't follow whatever I tell you, then we should never ever talk again. This is not what you should do. It is just like whenever the parents were to talk to their children, you cannot just nag to them, because that would not be beneficial at all. The children at a certain age, they will develop their own values too. You can remind others once or twice, but after that, if they still do not want to listen to you, you should also respect their boundary as well, because they know what they should do or shouldn't do either. Whenever it comes to the propagation of Dharma in a skillful way, I think we should really follow Khenpo Sodargye's example. First of all, you can encourage them to take precepts and to take the lay practitioner's precepts. And if they would not want to follow that, then you can ask them, well, maybe you can chant some mantras. If they don't want to do that either, then you can encourage them to be a good person. If they would say that, well, I don't want to even be a good person, then there's really not much to say anymore. Anyhow, in Tibet, we Tibetans have a custom of shouting and cheering when encouraging others to take a big step forward. Now, I am also going to cheer you on toward virtuous practice. A cheer is meant to inspire an individual's ability in a competition. How can I inspire you? As you know, in our land of Tibet, the population is sparse, the economy is backward, and the overall education level is not the best. Even so, not only all lamas, almost every Tibetan lama or Tibetan men or women has been reciting the Mani Mantra or Manjushri mantra over 100 million times during the course of their lives. Khenpo Rinpoche is speaking quite fairly over here, because he's stating the actual situation of Tibet. The economy is backward, and not much of the technological development. There's not even a computer in the land of Tibet. But however, the people in Tibet have been reciting the mantras at all times. But on the contrary, in your country, where there is a large population, strong economy, and a high standard of living, and a wide range of modern education, it seems that many of you have not chanted mantras very often. I remember that people were holding onto the arms without using them by accumulating merit, because they were sitting there in the rishis sitting posture and not reciting mantras at all. I think in Larangar, people tend to be more diligent when it comes to recitation of mantras. Majority of people, after they got into the large cities, they would no longer accumulate the mantra recitations anymore. That also includes some of our fellow Sangha members. After they part from Larangar for a month or two, and then they would be drowned in the ocean of samsara again, stop chanting mantras again. Then in front of all of us Tibetan lamas, do you feel a little bit embarrassed? Please do your best to chant mantras. It is not enough for you to just refrain from harming others. You need to further benefit them with a compassionate and altruistic mind. This is the very foundation of Dzogchen practice. The ultimate heart essence of the Buddha Dharma is entirely about great compassion, abandoning the self-concern for your own benefit and constantly having kind thoughts and doing wholesome deeds. For all sentient beings, the cultivation of supreme bodhicitta. Such altruistic practice is indispensable in your spiritual path. The essential point at the end is to rely on an excellent method to achieve Buddhahood. Such is a method that needs to be free from any faults, trustworthy, and qualified through the examination of valid cognition. What is the method? It is the Vajrayana path, sacred mantra, or in particular, ultimate clear light teaching of the great perfection, which is the pinnacle of the vehicles. Diligently engage solely in Dzogchen practice, the final essential point that can accomplish everything teaching as such. All Buddha Dharma can be summarized into the 3 key points. First, refrain from harming others, and 2, benefit all living beings, and 3rd, seek the path that enables you to benefit beings easily and swiftly in a vast way. The above are the 3 crucial points in the practice menu placing Buddhahood within reach. Anyone who wants to receive more on this teaching, please come on time tomorrow on the Friday afternoon. That's all for today. Once Rinpoche concluded the class that day.